Hello everybody, this is DeanoGTO, and this is going to be a video just kind of showing off the tank trade-in system. So, the way this works is you can trade a vehicle you no longer play or no longer enjoy playing, and trade it for a vehicle which is either equal to the tier that you have. So if it's tier 6, you can trade within tier 6, or tier 7, you can trade with tier 7, or if you're tier 8, well, you can trade within tier 8, but you cannot trade below the tier you're at, but you can trade higher than the tier you're at. So if you're a tier 6 premium, you can trade up to tier 7 or trade up to tier 8, but you cannot trade down from tier 8 to tier 7 or tier 8 to tier 6. So if you have a Lova as an example, you cannot trade down to, say, a heavy tank number 6. But you can trade up from a heavy tank number 6 to a Lova. I hope I've explained that correctly. So the way it works is you get 50% of the gold, of the initial gold value of the vehicle. So, as an example, with the SU100Y, this thing, when it came out, or this thing here is worth, I believe, 3,250 gold. Yep. So this thing is going to be worth 1,625 gold in the exchange. So you get 1,625 gold off whatever tank you want to change it over to. So if you're going for a T54 Mod 1 as an example, you would be able to get 1,625 gold off the initial price, which would mean it would go down to 7,125 gold. So that it would take that amount of gold off the price of the vehicle. So if you're changing like an IS6, an example, to a T54 Mod 1, the IS6 is worth 11,800. Half of that is 5,900. So that would take 5,900 off the price of the T54 first prototype, and that would make it worth, see, 5,900, 2,850 roughly. I'm doing this math in my head, by the way, so you may want to double check before you try and do something like that. So yeah, it's a really cool idea, but yeah, but as I said, if you had a T54 Mod 1, or if you had an IS6 as an example, you couldn't trade it down to, say, a SU12244. You can't do that. That's not how the system works. So you had to always trade up or equal. You cannot trade below. So I believe I've explained that correctly. So I should just mention quickly that Wargaming has an article on the EU website detailing this, as far as I remember, and it also has a video on the Wargaming Europe YouTube channel. So if you're confused in any of the details, those sum it up pretty well as the bulletin here. So it gives you like the general idea of how this works. For more info, please visit our official website. So I'm just going to show you how the system works here. So I'm going to trade these MX CDC for the Panther 88, and I've just remembered I forgot to take the equipment off the CDC. Yeah, a bunch of equipment sitting on this thing I forgot to take off. Right, so that's that done. So if I want to get a Panther 88 as an example, I click this, hit select vehicle, look for it by nation, for France, CDC is worth 3,725 gold, so that means this thing full price wise would have been a Burns 7,450. I believe that's about right. So if I click on this, 3,725 gold is subtracted from the initial price of the Panther 88, making it worth 3,575 gold. So it basically took off a half the price of the vehicle just by getting rid of the CDC. So all I need to do now is type in that number there, and that will allow me to get a Panther 88. And I will just do this here now. Let's see, MX CDC will be sold and unavailable for the recovery. Enter the number of gold from the column, and annoyingly it doesn't allow you to actually just get no crew with it. It's a wee bit annoying, but whatever. But as you can see, like the full price would have been 7,300, And yeah, so that seems good. And let's exchange the CDC for the Panther 88. My CDC was sold and unavailable for the recovery. In addition, the ammunition will be passed to the depot, and the consumables will be sent to the depot. Right. Okay, so now I own the Panther 88, and I no longer own the MX CDC. So I think this is a really good idea. This means that you can get rid of machines that you don't really play anymore. Like I have the M4 Rev as an example, so I don't really need to have the MX CDC because I feel like the MX CDC is just not as good as the M4 Rev, which is kind of ironic because the CDC is actually more expensive than the M4 Rev. So yeah, let's just see. So now I own the Panther 88, and I think I'm going to do this one more time just to show it off again. The Su-100Y, I'm going to switch for, I'm just going to quickly just look, is there any other tier 6s I'm interested in? Don't really give a shit about the stair weapon trigger, not going to play that thing. Let's see. Nothing there, nothing in there. Nothing here that I'm really interested in. You do have the potential to switch to like one of the Chinese vehicles. I think the Chinese vehicles could be really interesting, especially the 112. The 112 I feel like could be a very, very strong machine. I believe it actually has a thicker lower plate than it does upper plate. So this thing here is very, very strong and has I believe 90mm all along the side down here, whereas the WZ-111 I think only has 60. So that's pretty solid armor. Let's see. Didnt2, don't really give a shit about that. 40, but yeah, I'm going to switch for the Swedish medium tank because I kind of want to play this thing and have a go in it. So if I switch it for the Su-100Y, I don't want any of that stuff. So if I type in 2075, that means I get that 1,625 is subtracted from the cost of the vehicle, which means that I'm only paying 2,075 gold for the tier 6 premium Swedish medium tank. So if I hit exchange, that will switch it over. So Su-100Y was removed, and I now own the STRV M42. So yeah, I think that's a very good. That's a very, very good system, and it will, of course, it would be nicer to get a bit more of the gold value of the initial gold value of the vehicle put towards the new vehicle. But it's understandable. It's a business. You have to kind of there has to be some sort of like reduction in the amount you initially paid for the vehicle, because if you think about it like a used car, cars do lose value as they're used. It's the same kind of idea, but this is digital, so it doesn't make as much sense. But it makes sense from like a business point of view, because it means that you do need to put some gold into getting the new vehicle. So yeah, that's just a general idea of how the trade-in system works. As I said earlier, you can trade a tier 6 up to tier 8, but you cannot trade a tier 8 down to a tier 6. So those are just the general rules you need to be aware of. There are some vehicles which are excluded from this, and I should just point out just quickly here that there is an interesting vehicle you can switch, which is kind of bizarre to me at least. So, damn it, I can't do that. Hang on. Let's see. Let me just take a look here. What's a cheap? Let's see. Where's the stair? Right. I think because I've so little gold on my account, I can't actually do it. But it's a bizarre vehicle that you're able to actually trade in. I'll quickly just do this. So the T28 concept, you can actually trade this into the system, and you can get, I think it's like 3,500 gold for it. So if you do want to get rid of this thing and you have no interest in keeping it, I personally am going to keep it because I don't really think it's a good idea to sell a vehicle that there's only one way to obtain, and if you've already got the vehicle, it means you can't do it again. So I think personally I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to trade it in unless I change my mind suddenly. But that's just an option there, just in case you're interested in doing it. So right, so that just gives you a general overview of how the system works, and yeah, let me know if you're going to change any vehicles over. I'd be curious to see like what vehicles people tend to be going for, and yeah, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.